It is an honor for me to once again serve as a moderator for the Kompass Global Leadership Roundtable on Nation Building, Wellness and Peace. This is an important forum that brings together thought leaders, policy makers, and change makers to share ideas and opinions on important topics that are critical to the global economy. For this year, the topic is aging. As you know, aging is actually a major challenge that affects almost every country in the world, whether it's developed or developing, like the Thai economy. And given the speed of the aging currently, is I think having discussion today on aging is quite critical, and especially important. It makes the intersection between nation building, wellness, and peace even more critical. Nation building is about providing. It's about providing foundation and institutional support for the economy, and in the context of aging is longer lifespan. And wellness here extend beyond just beyond healthcare, but it's also about mental and physical fitness of the people. And lastly, peace. I think it's something that underpin both wellness and nation building. So in this roundtable, we hope to integrate the ideas of nation building, wellness, and peace together, so that we can lay out strategies to tackle the problem of aging. So as we move into the discussion, so I hope that the exchange, I invite actually our esteemed panelists and also the audience to think boldly about aging issue, and probably to envision a world where aging is not feared but embraced, not challenge but opportunity. That we will have the world where aging is a community, where living longer also matched by quality of life, and also equity as well. So what I'm going to do next is I'll outline the structure of the session, and then introduce the speaker. For this roundtable, what we're going to do, we will discuss the challenge of aging briefly. Then we move to strategy and policy that can be adapted effectively. So let me introduce the list of esteemed speakers in alphabetical order. First, His Excellency Amir Khosrow Mahmood Chowdhury is the former Minister of Commerce of Bangladesh. Next, His Excellency Professor Dr. Krasaya Chanawong, former Minister to the Office of the Prime Minister of Thailand, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, former Deputy Minister of Public Health, Ramon Magsaysay Award recipient. And third, to my left, Professor Dr. Kriengsak Chalermwongsak, Chairman of Nation Building International Institute, Thailand. Fourth, Professor Dr. Lalit Chowri, former Senior Fellow and Director of Oxford Advanced Management and Leadership Program, USF Oxford, United Kingdom. Fifth, His Excellency Masaharu Nakagawa, former Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology of Japan, 6. His Excellency Dr. Narongchai Akraserani, former Minister of Commerce, former Minister of Energy of Thailand, former Chairman of the Export-Import Bank of Thailand. 7. Associate Professor Dr. Suryadel Tripathi, is Director of Center for Morality Promotion. It's a public organization. 8. Mr. Tibau Danju, international consultant, member of the Investment Committee of FITRUST Asia, expert for the European Commission, MBA from the University of Chicago. And lastly, but not least important, Mr. Yang Kuk Yoon, President of Asia Future Institute, founder and group chairman of Pavilion Investment Group, South Korea. He was also a panelist last year, so welcome back. Next, I go over the rule of the round table. So the discussion will be divided into two parts. As I said, the part will be on the challenges and posed by an aging society and their impact. The second part, which will be longer, is about strategies and policy. This is quite important. Each participant will have specific questions. I will read them out, but they also have been given this question previously. And they will be given 7 minutes to speak. Given a time, it can be shorter than 7 minutes, but should not be more, because I would say this is a hard limit. So, but if other speakers have any question or want to ask or wish to add comments, they are welcome to do so. Before I go to the first speaker, let me summarize what I think for the first part, the key challenges for aging. I think the first one to me, I think is the fiscal pressure in public system. I think as the economy is aging, it's put a lot of pressure on like pensions and also healthcare system. Then the second challenge would be like the shrinking workforce and economic slowdown. I think for Thailand in particular, this is quite evident. I think population of Thailand is currently shrinking, slowly shrinking, but economic growth also slow down accordingly. I used to make a calculation that if in the past Thailand can grow comfortably at 5%, given the rate of population growth now, it can grow at most 3%. Third is about the rising health and mental burdens. So obviously, as people age, physical and mental being deteriorate quickly. Fourth, I think is on social fragmentation and age-based discrimination. I think as people get age, we have problem of generation gap. For example, I just learned recently that for Gen Z people, if you call them, but you don't email them or put tell them in the line that you're going to call first, and just you call them, they consider that really rude. I just found out really recently. And fifth, I think it's also challenge is to have infrastructure for aging population, because as you age, you want flexibility, especially maybe for disability, and for example. So, with that, I will go to the first session. So the first session, we will have 3 speakers, and we have a nice speaker here. So as I said, we have 3 in the first. So we will start with Thailand, with Associate Professor Dr. Suryadel Tripathi. He also has a PowerPoint, and probably the organizer can bring it up. So for each speaker, I'll read out the questions that have been given previously. So for Dr. Tripathi, his doctor here he is an MD, a medical doctor, not is a real doctor, not unlike me. Yes. So, Dr. Tripathi, from your experience in public health and morality promotion, how is population aging shaping the physical, emotional, and moral well-being of Thai society today? And what are the major challenges communities face in adapting to an aging population?
So
Please.
thank you so much for Dr. Don, and also would like to very delighted to be here, especially for in 2025 for International Conference National Building Wellness Peace Up on Morality. First of all, I have also pamphlet. Sorry, some of them might be in Thailand and some other also be in this English version. And I'm also really sorry to say a little bit, make apologize to all of you here that I have very limited of time and I will be here for a moment after my speech. Be for a while, and after that I have to leave to the parliament to invited there for 40 organizations. They are also led by me. So first of all, for the question that you asked me, go for my slide, just only few, I will strict for the time, just three kind of challenges and what is the solution. If you look at this picture, you will see this is the symbolic. I will focus on the Thailand. I mean, this is also really impact and also symbolic of Thailand. Thailand also facing about the super aging society. We have total fertility at only 1.1 and also new birth also 400,000, but while is date for the aging people 1 million per year. And in the meanwhile, you see the new generation. We are in the super fast model too. I mean the digitalization world. But what I would like to all of you focus in this slide, you should see the behavior. I mean the eyesight, eye behavior, and face expression. That is the symbolic of morality. I mean, how we can, this is the first challenge, how we can maintain about the land of smile, giving nation, empathy. I mean, not only the generation gap, and we can also the building the characteristic, these kind of characteristic. As I'm a psychiatrist, I'm focused on the mental health and also the morality and mindfulness some other countries. So my first question of my might be some kind of my proposal in my view or point is how to build up the character and maintain this kind of empathy, mindfulness in individual system. We are calling about the individual of each kind of, even they are in the intergeneration, but they can also giving and land or smile. Build up the characteristic and competency. We talk a lot about the lifelong learning. We talk a lot about the education, but mind challenging is how we can build up in the educational system, not only for the children, but also for the aging people too. The second point, I would like to go to the other slide. This is the mind combination about the global and local. I'm not spelling wrong. I mean, this is the globalization, boundaryless society, super fast, but slow life and fast life. So my solution is also how we can build up the character in the flow life, not the slow and not the fast, and also be a flow life. And here is also a little bit take a time. You know, I mean, on the table, you know very well about the micro system. You know very well about the macro system. From second challenging is the barrier of Thailand, middle trap. You see the middle trap of social development and also economic development. In my point of view, even I'm working a lot of in the all the rural area of Thailand, we have barrier in the meso system. What is meso system calling here? It will mean that individual and micro system relationship together. I mean, individual to family, individual to school, individual to community, even this individual be adult, also individual to organization they're working about. I mean, relationship between together and together is really meso system, and it is also barrier of Thailand how we can build up this relationship together and integration. What I in the middle you see that digitalize also be some kind of power, how we can use the digital and social media not be an obstacle but also be powering this kind of relationship together. Yeah, closing the gap of generation. This is the second challenging I would like to throw on this side. And if you look at the other slide, I'm also, the third challenging is grassroots. We know all inequity and a lot of inequity is also in this country, not only in some other countries. I know I learned a lot when I'm working in the Center for Morality Promotion, my public organization under supervision directly to the government. But you know that very minute public organization, we have only 20 or 30%. But how we can build up 4,000 network along the country, 4,000, nearly one, I mean, nearly 10,000 of network we also collecting together. And we also set up the systematic working together, let them learn about network of network. We call the moral assembly from the local level to the provincial level to the national level to the cabinet, directly to the cabinet. So my challenging, the third one is how we can close the inequity gap by strengthening the network of network, and not only network of network, but also they working as a systematically. That's why the Center for Morality Promotion also set up one of the index, behavior index. Behavior, we have two tools. We call the morality behavior index and life asset. You know, this is also we can evaluation about the acute onsets of behavior of the whole population in the nationwide. Acute onset, moral index, it will be cross section, and we can prognosis of the national building about what is the acute onset, poor prognosis of good prognosis about the morality behavior index. And the other one is also life asset. We can also evaluation and calculation about the chronic onset. That means if life moral index is going down and also life asset going down, I can prognosis the whole country about the national powerful meso system, that this is not only acute onset, and it is very poor prognosis because this one is also acute on top chronic. So this one is, I would like to propose by my last slide, that all the challenging that I propose and all the solution that I also put on the table, we would like to social development and use the individual characteristic to make people and also the world better than. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tripathi. Next, we move to South Asia. His Excellency Amir Chaudhuri. So as a former Minister of Commerce, what are the national development implications of population aging in Bangladesh and the South Asian region? And how might aging affect future workforce dynamics and national competitiveness? Please.
Thank you very much. Thanks to my friend Kriyansek for inviting me. For me, it is listening, learning, and leading, because we are in the process of going into democratic order through another election in the near future. So this is all in the process. And I've been listening to my friend and earlier ones by you and other presentations, still trying to process. So I'm a politician, I'm not a technical guy. So for me to process and be able to make a political perspective of it is very important. So for Bangladesh, as a matter of fact, we are currently putting all emphasis on demographic dividend. Longevity dividend is not in the radar at all. Listening to today's speakers, for me, is a breath of fresh air, quite honestly. And the whole nation in Bangladesh is looking at the young generation and how you can, because our demography is still very good, We have some way to go still before aging is an issue for the government and policymakers. But nevertheless, listening to listeners today, I think to make it a humane country. Democracy, humanity, I think we have never been able to combine. Democracy is all about election. A lot of speakers say winning the elections. And we never could bring democracy and humanity put together in our political perspective. It never comes into play. Everybody is interested in their own gains. What's in it for me? There is an election. What's in it for me? So everybody is asking for their own gain. So generational integration has never been thought of that seriously in Bangladesh, let me be honest. But I think for the sake of democratic sustainability, and economic sustainability, the longevity dividend, I think, must be incorporated into policy making. And for the lifelong education is becoming more imminent, whether you like it or not just for the sake of humanity, but for the people to contribute in the development of the country, in the economy of the country. And I was in Singapore some time back, and I had a taxi, and the driver was so old. I was kind of afraid, you know. I said, oh my God, this guy, God knows where I'm going to end up with today. He's so old, he cannot even sit straight. But while driving, absolutely perfect. And talking to him, his faculty is perfect. So this is how I think how we can really incorporate our elderly. So aging is an issue, it's not the old age. I think the term aging is from vis-a-vis the old age is something I think we can, this is a terminology, I think we can incorporate into our policy making in Bangladesh. And because all emphasis and investment are going into demographic dividend, since you have the opportunity. And quite honestly, even that is the fiscal challenge for any country like developing countries like Bangladesh. It's a big fiscal challenge, even to make the most of demographic dividend. Now, aging longevity dividend is bringing to fore into policy planning is obviously going to strain even more. And we don't have the pension system, and we don't have the contribution from the citizens as to how you run your fiscal policy. So, I think we now need to have a bring into our in policy perspective how longevity dividend can be incorporated into economic policies. And because of AI and technology, it is easy to outreach all of the country, even the people in distant places, incorporate them into the system. And like the call centers, and well-speaking Englishman or who is speaking Arabic or French or Korean can easily be part of call centers or chat centers or data processing sitting at home. So this has brought a big opportunity to bring in the aging generation into the economic return. And a lot of these things people can do from work from home nowadays. That is another opportunity created for elderly people. They don't have to go around to the offices or travel distances to be able to work. This AI and technology also brings in the opportunity of everybody to work from home. And this is, he can be a global citizen working from home. He can be doing this outsourcing work, sitting at home, because a lot of people who are educated, intelligent, English speaking or other international languages speaking, they can all come into the fore. So this could be a beginning, I think, then to bring in the whole of the society and elderly old generation, aging generation, into the fold of economics is going to take time and resources. As I said, it's a fiscal challenge for a country, developing country like Bangladesh. But as a lot of speakers mentioned today, I think we can, this is a cross-border issue, this is a regional issue, global issue. So those corporations can obviously help. Even the cross-border trading we have been talking about, a lot of cross-border trading in the stock market, in the IT-related businesses can still be incorporated into this, to the aging societies. So I think I will end with that and look forward to the rest of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like to interject something to the audience. His Excellency talk about demographic dividend. I think not many people would know this. Demographic dividend is when population see a surge in the working force population. I think why Bangladesh is facing aging problem like Thailand, but it also fortunate to have demographic dividend. Thailand used to have this too when we have a surge in labor force. But as His Excellency said, the window can be closing. So for Bangladesh, how to incorporate the demographic dividend and then prepare for aging society, I think. So we move from Thailand to South Asia. The next would be Europe. Mr. Tibor Danju. Europe is one of the most rapidly aging regions in the world. Could you describe the key demographic trends driving population aging in Europe? And what are the main causes behind this shift? How has this demographic change impacted Europe's economic system, labor force, healthcare, and overall social cohesion?
Thank you. It's a very long question. I'm trying to answer it as best as I can. First of all, Europe is not homogeneous. There is a huge difference between Northern Europe and Southern Europe and Eastern Europe. So I wouldn't be able to answer for the whole of Europe. But from the question on aging population and how does it impact their quality of life. This is something I was not interested before, but as I'm getting older, I'm getting very interested in that. And I would like to list the things that really impact the quality of life of aging people in Europe, but I think all over the world in different ways. The first one is access to health care. Today, in some countries in Europe, including France, to which I belong, access to healthcare is becoming difficult. There is a shortage of doctors in some areas. There is a shortage of specialists. And even with a very generous social security system, if you have no access to a doctor, if it takes 3-4 months to have an appointment, it can be a life-threatening thing because 4 months can actually turn a disease that's curable into incurable disease. And we are facing this now in France, to the point where the government is now putting new laws where they are going to restrict the freedom of doctors to go wherever they want. There's going to be a plan that doctors need to be all over the territory, so it covers the entire population. But access to healthcare is not only going to hospital, it's also home care. And that also requires new organizations, new way of thinking, and manpower. This is something that's very important. Second point is the cost of healthcare. Cost of healthcare can vary a lot. I now live in Singapore, where the cost of healthcare is, if you go to a private clinic, is basically not reasonable. You can go to a public hospital in Singapore, but then you have to wait for a very long time. So what do people do? They come to Thailand or Malaysia, where they get very good healthcare at a reasonable price. But that aging people, not everybody can fly to Bangkok to see a doctor. You know, some people will have to basically need the healthcare at home. And if they cannot, then it's a problem. That affects their quality of life. Another issue is climate change. Climate change is becoming a huge issue for aging population because not everybody has air conditioning. And of course, in Singapore, yes, but if you think of Japan or Europe, where I also live in Japan partially, you know, not everybody has air conditioning. And for old people, where the houses are not always very well isolated, the heat from outside can really be crippling and actually accelerate the death rate because people don't drink enough or basically don't sleep well enough. So this needs to be a climate change is going to be a huge impact on quality of aging. Fourth issue is real estate. A lot of houses where the older people live have stairs and are not equipped for aging people. So homes needs to be renovated in a way that allows people to basically move around without too much risk of falling or if they have, let's say, knee problems or whatever, being able to go to their bedroom or whatever. So you're going to have a huge issues and a lot of housing, unfortunately, is not adapted to that aging population. So we need to reinvent the way we design houses. So the quality of life of older people is not too much impacted. Next thing is quality of social bonding. And I think that comes to your point. I think the most, if you're a corporate or if you have a job, you meet people all the time. And so you're not in a shortage of social bonding. But once you're retired and old, no children at home, maybe you're alone at home, you lost your spouse, then you need to meet people. Otherwise you become very isolated and it's not good for the mind and the body. And so local governments together with CSI and ONG must actually work very hard to make sure that people have access to social life within their areas. And it might sound obvious, but it is not. And as earlier speaker said, you know, if you don't have this social bonding, the morality will decline and democracy will eventually decline. Next issue is access to healthy food at a reasonable cost. Healthy food doesn't mean you need to go organic. Healthy food doesn't mean you need to eat kombucha or stuff like that every day. Healthy food is basically, to me, from my analysis and research, is reduce the dependency on processed food and increase the use of fermented food. Luckily, Asian countries are still strong on fermented food, but in the West, Europe and America, we are heavily dependent on industrialized processed food, and that's killing our people. And we really need to reduce that dependency, and we need to make this healthy food affordable. And so people need to learn again to make their own food. You can do it at home, but people need to learn again. Financial security. We need to make sure people are safe financially. But what we see in Singapore is that a huge trend of scams. Older people are easy target to scams. So one of the priorities of the Singapore government, and in Europe I can see also, is policies to limit scams because scams target older people. Older people are more naive. They cannot make easily the difference between a fake and real call. And millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen from older people's bank accounts. So governments must be proactive for these scamming activities. And I think Europe and some countries in Asia like Singapore are doing whatever they can. And finally, but it's the most important for me, is access to aging well education. So aging well education is actually, you know, people don't know that simple things in their daily lifestyle can actually improve their health and the quality of their life and the length of their life dramatically. You don't need to see a doctor for everything. You don't need to go to hospital for anything. I think many things can be actually auto-cured if you have a proper attitude in your daily life. I've done the research, I've done the effort, so luckily, I think I know more or less how to deal with that. But I find out most people don't. And I think governments and civil society should organize so because people get the information on how they can live better by having a better lifestyle. I mean, before you sleep, a little bit of yoga. I mean, not active yoga, but the therapeutic yoga make a huge difference in the quality of your sleep. And that's 10, 15 minutes. People don't know that. But if you know that, then it's a huge difference. So those are all the issues that impact the quality of life of aging people. And I think it's an issue for Europe, but it's an issue for all countries, more or less. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now move to part two. What strategies and policies can be adopted to effectively manage these challenges and promote active and healthy aging? So in the first part, we already explore the challenges. In this part, we will look at strategies and policies. And we will start with Professor Dr. Krasaya Chanawong. He's also a medical doctor as well. And I think having him start first actually bridged perfectly with Mr. Danju has said about healthy aging. So Dr. Krasaya, based on your long-standing experience in public health and humanitarian service, what are the most effective long-term strategies for building a compassionate, peaceful society that honors and supports the aging population?
Thank you very much for the invitation to join with the distinguished professor and great leaders today's meeting. As a medical doctor myself, I have to say that the topic is with great interest. Nation building, wellness, and peace. So as a medical doctor, we are talking about health, good health. To be healthy people, to have a good people who are healthy, we need to have something like preventive medicine, promotive, and all those curative. But in our society today, we are talking about elderly. I'm very proud that today I'm the oldest person here, I believe. I'm 92 years old. So here we're talking about the elderly, old people.
You're almost the oldest. There's one more older than you, former Minister Sipu.
Okay, because when we call coming here, my friend who are in the Kirk University said, you are the oldest university president of Thailand because no other president of the university as old as you. I said, I'm very proud.
Okay.
Then a Chinese professor said, no, not only the oldest university president in Thailand, also in China too. When I talking about elderly and myself, I want to say that Thailand, I'm lucky to be a Thai because the Thai people respect the elderly, care for the elderly. Even sometimes the elderly or the older people say something wrong, but the young people will say yes, yes, yes. Respect. But one thing that I have learned from our king, Bhumipol Adulyadej to give me good lesson that to be the elderly or the old people realize that the words of wisdom of our king is really appreciated and respectable. The first thing that the king, our king Bhumipol Adulyadej said, to lose is to gain. To lose is to gain. The second point, the second words of wisdom is the more you give, the more you gain. To be elderly people, if we believe that, we'll be very happy. You can be anywhere. You can be in any position, and then you see, to lose is to gain. It's all right. Happy to lose. But come to the textbook of leadership development. To lose, it means to give. To lose, it means to serve. To be a good leader, you must serve. You must give more service. Because I always believe that to lead is to serve. So our king said, to lose is to gain. The more you lose, the more you gain, something like that. So this is kind of leadership. So come back to my work now today as a president of the university, as a teacher. I want to say that now, how can we make good contribution and participation of the elderly in education? For that, try to make it short that elderly for education and education for elderly. How to explain that? I want to say that to be elderly, to be old people, I believe that he or she has good experience before, not learning from the university or from the classroom only, but from his life. Whether they are poor, they are rich, they have learned something. That kind of learning is experiences. The experiences of the elderly is something very precious. Experience cannot be substituted by anything. So that if we can use the potential of elderly in the society, then we will gain a lot from the elderly people. I have to say, maybe personal. 7 years ago, the Chinese people who own the Thai university, the Kirk University, they invite me to be the president of the university, even though I'm the oldest person in the Thai society. But they know how to manage the elderly people. They know how to use the old people like me. I spent 7 years already in the University of Kirk. But even though not because of my potential or anything, start from the university system with a student of 300 to 400 students. But now more than 6,000 students after 7 years. It's not because of me, but because of many people. At the same time, also because of, I have to say something maybe not enough for English people, English words. Elderly professor, elderly president has something like charismatic leadership. I don't know how to say it, but at least they believe me. They believe me. Believe me and then trust me. When I say this direction, they believe me because I am older than them. Okay, this way. Okay, this way. Okay, this way. They follow me. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished friends, what I trying to say here is that if we can use the old people or the elderly to work for the society, I believe that you have to know to use them, their potential, because the elderly people know how to add value to people. The elderly people know how to add value to the other people, so they can take leadership. Secondly, the elderly people know how to add value to the work, because the younger generation may have some question, have hesitation, but the elderly people say yes. When the elderly people say yes, many people say yes too. And thirdly, elderly people know how to add value to himself or themselves because the past experience. So what I'm trying to say here, I don't know how to make a conclusion. But what I'm trying to say that Professor Kriengsak has done good job. And he know how to use the elderly people. And he know the potential of the elderly people. And he know how to make a good management for the elderly people. I'm very happy, very proud to be here. I will support him. I will serve him. And I will follow him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kase. I'm quite touching as the youngest person on this table. Normally, we think about tackling the issue of aging society. We think about giving things to elderly people. But Dr. Kase talk about spin it the other way around. What the elderly can give back to us, to society. So thank you very much. And I agree with him that Dr. Kriengsak is really especially good at using elderly people to help him. So next, His Excellency Dr. Narongchai Akaraserani. So as a former Minister of Commerce and Minister of Energy, responsible for economic affairs, and he actually also served on Monetary Policy Committee at the Bank of Thailand, and my boss. What economic and policy strategies should Thailand adopt to maintain productivity and financial sustainability of an aging society? How can the Thai economy adapt to ensure long-term growth while supporting older citizens? Please.
Thank you. First, thank you for the invitation. I am turning 81 next week. But I have developed this method of calculating age. As a finance man, I always have to look at quarterly report, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So using that method, I think of myself as a centenarian, meaning that my life would have 4 Qs. So at the moment, next week, I still belong to, I'm 6 years old, which means I belong to QZ, to Gen Z. Then if I consider Q3, I belong to Gen Y. If I consider Q2, I belong to Gen X. And Q1, I belong to the baby boomer. That means I can connect with all of you, whatever generation. Psychologically, it's very good, which means that I have to understand the attitude of all these gens, Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, and baby boom. Now, coming to your question, not Gen Alpha yet. Coming to your question, I will stick to the issues of economic productivity and sustainability. First, I think that we have to recognize any society, Thailand in particular, we have to recognize that the aging, meaning the falling percentage of the labor force in the total population, as the moderator said earlier, that we can no longer expect this demographic dividend. So we must recognize that. And if based on my calculation, if the percentage of the people in the labor force, meaning age between 15 to 60, falling below 60%, then that's really dangerous. That's really dangerous. If you look at statistics today, Thailand labor force is at 67% yet. So it's not at the point of serious danger yet, but it will coming very soon. By the year 2029, we will get into that point, meaning that we will reach the so-called the super age society, the age society and super age society by 2029, which is very fast. It's 2025, so within 4 years, it's really going to be very, very dangerous. And if we have this kind of falling labor force percentage, the total factor productivity, in order to overcome this in economics, we have concept called total factor productivity. The total factor productivity has to be increased, must increase, in order to sustain at least the present level of national wealth, at least only sustaining, not even more than that. We can achieve this by several means to answer the question. And this is related to the development of digital technology. I have thought about it, and I feel that the only way that we can overcome this is to apply this modern artificial intelligence digital technology to do 5D. Number one is democratization, meaning that everybody having access to Wi-Fi and internet. India is a classic example. They have access. It's the cheapest in the world, India, and doing very well. Second is de-intermediation to reduce cost. We have a lot of intermediation in business today. Artificial intelligence can really reduce intermediate costs. Third, dematerialization. Four, delaborization, using less and less persons to work. Five, decapitalization, using less money. And the most important, debureaucratization. Debureaucratization, we must do that. We must do that. So if we can achieve some of these Ds, a few of them, would definitely contribute to total factor productivity increase, definitely in the production function. Now, how can the Thai economy adapt to ensure long-term growth by supporting older citizens? That's the second question. This one, we have to think of the business culture in Thailand. Business culture in Thailand is different from business culture elsewhere. In business culture in Thailand, Thai economy for a very, very long time has been sustained or driven by the existence of what I call commercial class, consisting mainly of Sino-Thai, meaning Thai of Chinese ancestry, almost 100%. This is the commercial class in Thailand. They have been driving the economy for very, very long time. Very, very long time. Actually, from the year about 1850, when we signed the Bowling Treaty under King Rama IV, that was when we liberalized trade in Thailand. We liberalized by default, not by design. We were forced by the British to liberalize, and that gave birth to this commercial class. If you look at all the business families in Thailand, almost 100% of Chinese ancestry, from different period of China's situations when they started to migrate to Siam. First big one was the Opium War, 1850-55. Second was the Republic War, 1910, when they changed from monarchy to republic. And third was political war between communism and democracy in 1945, 46, 47, 49. So we have a series of the Chinese moving to Thailand. So if whenever Thai economic policies allow this commercial class to operate, we had growth. Example, 1960s, we started privatization of business from state enterprises, we had growth. 1980s, we adopted export-led industrialization, we had growth. 1990 to 2000, we liberalized money and capital market reform and reconstruction in a big way, we had growth. So whenever policies are supportive of the work of this commercial class, Thai economy grew all the time. But at the moment, although we say that we are at the middle income level, we seem to be stuck there. We're stuck there. And why is that? Why is that? I can spend a long time talking about the reason why from the year about 2005. But let's skip that one. Just talk about the getting out of this trap. Get out of this trap. Again, I go back to this application, digital technology, to drive all the Ds, all the 5 of them that I mentioned earlier. The biggest challenge is about rules and regulations. Rules and regulation. Fortunately, we had COVID-19. So we liberalized some of that, allowing AI to operate in business world because of COVID-19. Again, by default, not by design. The regulatory reform that we need to do would be in areas of digital business and finance. I think at the moment, because of that, we are getting good response from the commercial class, particularly among the new generation, the young Gen Y and the older Gen Z, in responding to this liberalization in the area of technology. But I think at the moment, we also have to say that the commercial class themselves have some controls on the market. If you study market carefully, they have control. These need to be corrected in order to allow de-intermediation to work. I'm thinking very much about digital finance at the moment, but I learned that there are a lot of jiaopo's, controlling certain areas in the business chain. So that would have to be corrected. At the same time, I think the ecosystem for adoption of AI must be put in place. The ecosystem, I think for us, we have gone quite a long way relative to many other countries. So very important D is the debureaucratization, particularly in rules and regulations. And if that is achieved, then we can have sustainable growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narongchai. Next would His Excellency Masaharu Nakagawa. Japan has been a pioneer in dealing with the challenges of a super aging society. As former Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, can you share with us how is Japan addressing these challenges? What measures has the Japanese government implemented? Are there any lessons from Japan that could be valuable for other countries? This all, especially for Thai audience, I think they look forward to listen to you because we are following Japan very closely in terms of aging population.
Sorry for His Excellency a little bit. I have to leave now because only it will be take 1 hour to the Parliament. So I'm really thankful for Dr. Greensak and also be very delighted to be here in the round table. But sorry to make apologize to I have to leave now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are sad, but we'll let you go to see all the political class at the Parliament. See you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Greensak, for the invitation. And I'm learning a lot today, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I just became 75 years old. It's younger, comparing to your schedule. But I just retired from the politics this year. But after I heard the lecture of Dr. Greensak, I just changed my mind, and maybe I'll try again for the election again. that you know, this is the motivation that you gave to me. Well, according to your request, I would like to explain and well, discuss with you the Japanese experience that we already have super aging society now. After the Second World War, Japan achieved miraculous recovery, having concentrated its major policy in economic development. It was successful, and the baby boomers being born after 1945 were the main players to accomplish Japan's high economic growth. However, nowadays, the baby boomer generation is beginning to exceed the age of 75. I'm almost the middle of that baby boomer generation. The generation that once drove the Japanese economy has now become the generation of burden for our social security system. Pension, medical care, and nursing care systems need to increase both their size and quality. At the same time, we always praise and are much proud of our longest life expectancy in the world. 81 years, 81 years for men and 87 years for women. At the same time, the elderly over 65 years will already reach 30% range in total population as a super-aged society. But that's not the only problem. Japan's birth rate has continued to fall and has reached the level low 1.15 now, maybe second to Korea or something like that. The Japanese population began to shrink rapidly. As a result, we have to face both an aging society and a decreasing population at the same time on their growing scales. We cannot help but feel a sense of crisis about the dilemma caused by this population structure. Reflecting this situation in recent years, we have been working on three major issues. The first one was the introduction of elders' nursery care system. We developed an independent public insurance scheme for nursery care 30 years ago. Having separated from medical care system, all individuals over 40 years old are obliged to enroll in the nursery care insurance system. Care recipients pay 10% out of the total cost being evaluated by a licensed care worker. It works really well to create places among elders who need care. The second main issue is how to handle the declining birth rate. Japanese government has just started the urgent policy, so-called welfare policy for all generations. Reforms such as support for childbirth and infant medical care, free tuition from childcare to high school. Furthermore, we want to change the way people work. We attempt to free people from time-consuming long work hours and to allocate valuable their time more to their important family lives. We try to guide people to live in rural areas rather than urban life. However, it is most regrettable to say that those policies seem not to work efficiently yet. The present birth rate has never increased yet. Here we should be aware of more fundamental aspects of the problem. The basic reason of a decreasing birth rate is a drastic change of the inherent values concerning marriage and family. We need to reconsider the joy of getting married, raising children, and living with warm families. In Japan, nearly 30% of men aged 50 live alone without getting married. The percentage is higher in the younger generations. Marriage and family are perceived as nothing but a burden. Many of them don't want to marry. If so, why is this? Deeper social analysis and effective policy making are needed. This is not settled yet. The third policy is centered around encouraging social participation of the elderly. Recurrent education is to be important policy agenda. And besides that, in community level, elders club, so-called elders club, we call that Rojinkai, and culture center in community level, we call that Kominkan, are the main pillars where elders may get some fulfillment of their lives. Finally, I must point out, and I'm worried about the fact that the present Japanese physical status seems not to be stable enough to support future expansion of the social welfare burden. The Japanese government's outstanding debt is now approaching 2.5 times its GDP. This is a greater country risk of our age. It is essential to restore fiscal discipline to sustain a reasonable welfare system. And every government try to do this, but fail to accomplish this kind of a fiscal system. When I look back to the political process, I think Japanese policymakers has been too late in making necessary decisions for generation. The decision making must not be a follow-up to society's change. The follow-up policies are more costly. They are not producing sufficient results. The decision making should be done to foresee the future risk. At the most, in present moment, the Japanese high economic growth has stopped already and somehow been stagnated. There exists a risk of economic structure reminiscent of financial collapse now. This is the very the risky moment of the Japanese financial status. With Thailand at the forefront, there are countries that are now riding the wave of high growth and experiencing remarkable economic development. I would like to emphasize that now it is a time for you to implement costly welfare system for aging society for the future. Political leaders should come to stand up, have enough to convince people to burden the cost of welfare policies. This is what I can honestly suggest that and ask you to learn from present Japanese experience. Thank you. Kapanka.
Thank you very much, Excellency. The next one is Mr. Youngkook Yoon. He will come by via Zoom. And this is an example of how we use technology after COVID that Dr. Narongchai has mentioned. So, Mr. Yoon, what role can the private sector play in responding to the aging population? How can business innovation, investment strategies, and technology be harnessed to support wellness and quality of life for older adults, while still achieving economic growth? Mr. Yoon, please.
Thank you. I feel bad that I'm not there in person. I know it's a lot more exciting to attend this conference physically. I have some issues which prevented me from being there. I'm going to start with some statistics. We know that more than 1 in 4 people worldwide now resides in a country where the population has already peaked in size. And by 2050, the global population aged 65 and older will reach 1.6 billion people, and 1 in 6 people over 65. In Europe and North America, this ratio will rise to 1 in 4. Unfortunately, countries like Korea, Japan, and Italy, this ratio is projected to exceed 1 in 3. And we all know that the birth rates are declining globally at the same time. So the private sector knows that the potential to make revenue and profit lies with aging population, senior communities. So I think it's very it's natural to think that the private sector will go through some transformation to take advantage of the aging population in many different businesses. And I'll give you a bit more facts. The financial aspects of this aging population is that the more wealth will be controlled by older adults over time. And the silver economy is expected to surpass $15 trillion by 2030. In the US, older adults now control 3/4 of all wealth, giving them an outsized influence on consumer spending. So we know where the money will be over the next many decades. So the private sector will definitely follow that trend. And while we know the public sector provides more essential services, such as healthcare, housing, and financial support, the private sector, driven by profit and innovation, can complement such public efforts by developing products and services that can enhance wellness and quality of life for seniors, like wearable health monitors, remote health monitors, telemedicine platforms, AI-powered medication management tools, and so forth. In fact, Toyota and Panasonic in Japan developed smart mobility solutions and robotic aids to assist with physical limitations. So there are motivations for private sector to develop innovations, develop services to follow that money trend, financial trend. So, and investors, private investors can also find long-term opportunities in sectors like old independent living, senior housing, and better healthcare, and improved sanitation, and increased access to nutrition. I think the nutrition is a very important part of the private sector development. They have been doing it, but I'm sure we will see a lot more nutrition-related products and medicine and so forth. And investment will also likely to accelerate drug discovery, especially with robotics and AI, that could further the health of the seniors, that could even boost their longevity. So with these developments, drugs and services and whatnot, the longevity is going to get longer and longer. So there'll be more people living longer. That means the financial, the money, I guess, wealth will reside with these old people, and the private sector will have to follow that trend. With the low birth rate, especially, I think the gentleman from Japan said that Korea is probably the lowest birth rate country, below 0.9. So, there are less number of younger generations in the market, and there'll be a lot more older people in the world. So the private sector will definitely focus more on the older generation than the younger generation over time. There is one example, Korean tour company that caters to older adults with physical problems. So the buses are designed to hold many wheelchairs, and the programs are designed for slow motions, relaxed pace. The early hour museum hours they visit. So these things are getting a lot more popular. In fact, I sent one of my parents to this uh, tour programs, and they really enjoyed it. All the people, they have to move around, and you have to expect that they want tours, and they want entertainment and things of that nature. So there'll be a lot more programs that will be catered to such old generation people. So in conclusion, my conclusion is private sector holds significant potential to enhance the wellness and quality of life for old adults through targeted innovation, strategic investment, and inclusive employment. Supporting the aging population is just not a social responsibility. It is a smart, profitable opportunity for the private sector. I'm going to stop right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next will be People Sector by Professor Dr. Kriengsak Chalerngwongsak. As the chairman of Nation Building International Institute, people sector leaders in nation building, how can civil society play a more active role in empowering older people and fostering intergenerational solidarity in building a resilient and peaceful society amid population aging? What practical strategies can citizens and communities adopt to turn the aging challenge into a grassroots-driven opportunity? Dr. Kriengsak, please.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again. I spoke too much at the plenary already, so I'm going to keep myself brief, to the point. I'm privileged to sit around here with all the senior people, purposefully letting them know that they're dignified here, that at this age, they're still very much a productive, powerful force in all nations and the world. So it's purposely arranged for all these key leaders here. I'm privileged to be working in all sectors in my life, in political, bureaucratic sector, in economics, business sector, and in the people sector. So I can't divorce all these relationship in this trisectoral. I'm privileged to have been educated in my undergraduate with what we call PPE, societal philosophy, political science, and economics, but I put emphasis on econometrics, building models with equations. So what I'm going to say here is to try to bring together this with the people sector. What am I going to suggest? Two things, very brief to the point. One, why don't you do your gesture of show of hand like this? Take a beautiful picture of all of you. What am I trying to send forth a message? Some photographer, this is a historic picture you should take. Everybody, you know why? This is going to be a gesture to send to the whole world. No mandated retirement age. No mandated retirement age. What am I saying? The reason is really clear that we're going to send forth a very practical strategy and policy guidance into the global world. No mandated retirement age. Why? One key word I wanted to carve. Wisdom-driven big civil society is what we're looking for. Why am I saying this? You know, in my observation of my philosophical thinking, there's always been three classes of people, no matter what we call them. One is the working class. I change it to the operational class. Two is always the people who are the managerial class. Sometimes they are commercial class. That is the people who do all the big management. And the third very important thing that I want you to please pay attention to is the governance class. This governance class is going to be on the rise. But in the whole history of the world, you can see the working class was there, and then the managerial class, the commercial class lead them, and it led to Marxian conflict between overthrowing the working class, working class overthrowing the business class, for example. In the future, we got to overthrow some of the problems that we had in the past by the governance class leadership with wisdom. It's not going to be violent. It's going to be peaceful upon morality. That can only be done by wisdom-driven people. And what does it mean to be wise? Well, to make it plain, you have very strong accumulated knowledge through time. You are accumulated all your knowledge through times, plus your experience that you have accumulated that produce thinking, knowledge, which is wisdom. So wisdom cannot come easily without age. And research have shown us lately that 65 plus years old people above are the best age to make good decisions. And one of the key four tasks of leadership, in my opinion, in my theory is this, pardon my theoretical framework, is to make good decisions. Good decisions cannot be made by experiences. You went through a lot, and age does help. Therefore, the new class have to rise to take its place that we could never do before in the past. Why? Because it's hard to accumulate knowledge quickly in a short time. But over the years, when you become older, the accumulation of knowledge are not efficiently executed. Today with AI-powered kind of help. The older people able to bridge the digital divide, use the AI to help them, they would be able to accumulate all the knowledge that they have directly and all the knowledge surrounding the whole ambience. And their experience infused into this knowledge with AI power knowledge become wisdom. And that comes to my full cycle of my seventh wave of civilization, which I foretell for the last 30 years, that the next wave is not knowledge economy, knowledge society, and knowledge politics. It can be wisdom society, wisdom economy, and wisdom politics. Today, we are facing a huge bureaucratic managerial class with power of the state. Now, with due respect to those who create social contract theory, we have heard of people like Jacques Rousseau, Hobbes, John Locke. I teach at Oxford University, where John Locke graduated way before me. But he created social contract theory. But what am I saying? I create a new theory called neo-social contract theory. What do I mean? In the past, the social contract theory have emerged two kinds of parties competition in all democratic worlds in the last few hundred years. One, I call a big business party. Two is a big government party, where you intervene with big government, or you intervene with big business, or sometimes they collude. The two big parties fight. But what we need in this coming century, which is the first time ever in the entire world where older people are living, we need neo-social contract theory, where the big civil society take a lead. That can never happen before. Why? Because in the past history, we never had such a lot of old people that have knowledge, empowered knowledge and wisdom. Today is possible for the very first time in my analysis. So what I'm sending this message out is to, can we create this so that it's economically sound, politically savvy, and societally sensible? What do we do in practice then? We need to create these wisdom-driven people to become the governance class. That's why you cannot retire. At this age, you have to take leadership in governance. Look at all the young prime ministers around the world. They make big problems everywhere. Not because they are not smart, but because they lack wisdom due to lack of experiences. What am I saying then? Let's create a new class of governance class with wisdom-driven people at the lead, working cross-generation seamlessly, cross-border seamlessly, so that we can drive forward a new class that would take its place. Today, politics give us the wrong kind of people to be there. We have the mediocre, the good for not too many things are leading politics. What can we do? Let's take our place. What am I trying to advocate in this kind of setting, which I say is not conference as usual? There's some clear message we're sending out. Why don't we create a huge network nationally and internationally, senior citizen network that are productive, wise people who are senior citizen, formed together in communities, in network. That means you can call the shot at what hour, what day, and what place we can gather, and we can meet online, on site, like this conference. Can we create senior citizen network, organize them into a class so that we would have this kind of political force, economic force, and societal force? And that's what I'm doing in Thailand. As part of it, I'm creating Golden Zone Wellness Senior Citizen Network all over Thailand in 77 provinces now. It's happening, and they're going to take their place. They're going to have a voice. It's not a voiceless old people generation anymore. It's going to be a very powerful force that intervene in injection into political ideas, economic productiveness, and social activeness. That's what am I trying to say, therefore, is to try to make sense so that it's practical, able to see a result. And I purposely want to send this message across the whole world. And I see the smile of my friend, Krosu from Bangladesh. He's going to be the next finance minister in the government. He's going to change the whole framework. Dr. Nrongchai, I already told him he should be the next finance minister of Thailand at this age. What am I trying to say? I'm provoking them and said, don't retire. Minister Nakagawa already been convinced by me, and there's a change of heart this morning after hearing me. He's coming back to the governance class. So that's what I'm saying. No mandated retirement. Let's get going, organize ourselves to move forward. Thank you.
Do you think the wisdom and populism is part of wisdom?
Populism means, if you means in a positive way of taking care of all the populists, that's one thing. of percentage as a cheap way to bargain for their votes by giving them free subsidies, free money? No. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for a new kind of wisdom to drive them forward to think. Politicians pay you and bribe you to vote. It's not enough. You should go beyond that to create a better society where wisdom reigns and where the people matter. That's why big civil society, the people matter, not just for 2 seconds in the election booth, but they really matter. So that all policy are long-term usefulness that with short-term meaningfulness as well as making sure they're not bought over by bribery or political votes. But they have to see that this is sensible, wisdom-led policy in politics.
I must say I feel ashamed by Dr. Krieng Sak's remark. I have 5 more years to mandatory retirement age, and I'm happily counting the backward. But now he said, oh, we should contribute more, so I feel it's a shame. But thank you. So we talk. We have the public sector, private sector, and the people sector talking. The last one by Dr. Krieng Sak. So we come to the final panelists on public-private people partnerships. Professor Lalit Johri. The question to Professor Johri is, how can government, businesses, and communities effectively collaborate to innovate solutions for the aging population? And what models of public-private people partnership have proven successful in creating inclusive and age-friendly societies? Professor Johri also have a presentation. So the organizer, please bring it up. And Professor Johri, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Don, and thank you, Professor Kringsak, for inviting me. Last time I was sitting there, I could face the audience, but for the first time in my life, my back is facing the audience. So I don't mean to show any disrespect to any one of you. It is just the circumstances that I'm sitting here and you are sitting behind me. The issue that we are addressing today is a fantastic issue from various perspectives. For example, if you, for your next Italian holiday, please go to Sardinia. And in Sardinia, you will find villages where the average age of citizens, Italian citizens, don't count the tourists, will be approximately 90 plus. They are healthy. You can see the couples holding hands, walking on the narrow roads of the village, sometimes taking rest under the shadow of the olive tree. What do they eat? This has been a topic of discussion, the blue zone theory, as they call it. Now, the moment you live with them, suddenly you will change your mindset and your vocabulary. And a lot of challenges that you pointed out will become opportunities. So what I'm going to propose is to offer you the conclusion of my discussion first, and then I will come to the specifics of the 2 questions. I'm so fortunate that I only have 2 questions at Oxford. I would be facing about 20 questions on this issue. So thank you, friend Don. So what you need to remember is, I also used, in Britain, we use the term senior citizens, but I prefer to, because senior once again creates a class distinction, I would rather address them as silver citizens. So we are really, and aging is also not a very positive term from a non-medical perspective. So I prefer to use senior, instead of senior citizens, silver citizens. And in 2016, based on our work at Oxford, we created an institution of public-private partnership in Hong Kong. I'm still the advisor there, and recently they appointed me as the fellow, the first fellow of the institution. And we help various countries in Asia Pacific as well as now in Europe to find concrete, sustainable solutions, systemic solutions, not just policies, not just technology-based products and services, to be able to take care of the silver citizens. Now, before we started this session, I took permission from my friend Don that I will first answer the question number 2, which is a beautiful question. Talking about a model, it's always great to talk about a solution. So could you please show the slide? Question 2. What models of public-private people partnership have proven successful in creating inclusive and age-friendly societies? 2 simple introductory remarks. The traditional concept of a care home or an old home is something that you should avoid in this century. The UK experience in this regard, it was a great institution, great concept when it was created, maybe 100 years ago, but not anymore. There have been so many reports where it has been found that there are people who are depressed, hygiene conditions are not very good. So we are not really talking about building more care homes and homes for the old people. Danish government reversed the whole model of taking care of the silver citizens by shutting down the government serviced entities and handing over the care, again within courts, taking care of the life of the senior silver citizens, giving it to the corps of volunteers. Today, it is the volunteers who take care of the silver citizens within the community. Now, that's a fantastic model. And in my book on Mastering the Power of You, I have a chapter written by the chairman of Danish voluntary organization, which is taking care of close to about few 100,000 Danish silver citizens. So the whole model is described in book. But for today's discussion, I picked up one model which I think is possible everywhere, whether it's a low-income country or a middle-income country or a high-income country. This is a model which is very recent. It's called Kampung Admiralty. It's a building for all ages. It's the framework is available. It's in Singapore. Kampung is a traditional Malay village where people live as a community. They share resources. They are dependent on each other. They take care of each other, all ages. And Admiralty word comes from the fact that it is located in a place in Johor Bahru, which used to be very close to the naval headquarters of British government. So it's a very good combination. Let's have a quick look at this story. What can we learn from it? First of all, it's a multi-agency project. I've seen that there are departments for the senior citizens. Again, that should not be the practice for building the 21st century solutions for making silver citizens feel their place in the society. So the project was launched in terms of its first conceptualization by bringing about 7 to 8 government organizations on one single table. And what were they doing? They were not talking about the policy measures. They first brought their respective research reports to say that this should be part of our solution. You must be wondering that we are trying to create a community for the silver citizens, and here we have the Early Childhood Development Agency. Now, why do we need it? We need it because it's the Early Childhood Development Agency which tells us that when there is an intergenerational bonding, the children learn faster, wisdom idea, and the senior silver citizens also feel absolutely delighted to be in the company of the children. So what these 8 government organizations did was to compile what they call as the principles behind creating the systemic solution for silver citizens. And then they devised the regulatory aspects. So typically, the Environment Agency will give you ideas, principles on greening of the campus. The Ministry of Health will tell you that what are some of the common diseases for which, or ailments, if not disease, for which the silver citizens would need quick solutions. So all these principles are added together and then they go into the regulatory framework. This is the starting point. And whether this is a uh, tall order, no, it is not. Simply, these principles give rise to a 5-point solution. Bring together the flat for the elderly, provide a medical center for specialist outpatient care, active aging hub. It's an activity area where the silver citizens engage in different activities, co-located next to the child care center. Now, this is a paradox that in a silver citizen uh, look after system, you are creating a child care center next to it. Because this is where the intergenerational bonding will take place. Dining and other kind of outlets, and most importantly, hawkers, so that the silver citizens and the young families who are staying there, they can still go to the little Chinese outlets and buy a cup of noodle. They don't want these elderlies to sit on wheelchairs or comfortable chairs. They want these silver citizens to live a normal life as they would live in a village. Now, what lessons can we learn from this? There are 3 slides on this, and then I'll move over to the first question, which is more conceptual. So, start with multiple compatible partners at the conceptual stage. Concept design of the system solution is very important in this case. Start with principles, then produce the regulations, and then invite the service providers, real estate builders, hawkers. All of them work in the same kind of a structure, but with very specific type of regulatory environment. Start with adequate scale to provide opportunities for elderly to collaborate as well as lead independent and active life. Collaboration with the younger generation, uh, as well as their own sense of private space. Important thing here, the scale not only helps in the community engagement processes, but also scale benefits the service providers. Often in UK, we see that care homes are only for 30 people or 40 people. That's not a critical scale at which a private sector operator will come and invest their money. So you need to provide scale benefits to the commercial and private investors. That's very important. Create facilities for intergenerational bonding. You can see there. There's a little picture where in their private meeting rooms, there are children who are coming to bond with the children, are narrating the stories to the elderly people, and elderly people are often giving them words of advice or asking them, what kind of homework have you done today, etc., etc. Integrate healthcare facilities, very, very important. They don't need to, you talked about non-availability. So here is an example where healthcare providers can come to the healthcare facility and specialty days on different days of the week. Build flats for elderly and young families on the same floor. Use design principles to provide easy and seamless mobility and create spaces, so transportation, you mentioned, for social and community activities. And select operators uh, or service providers, keeping in mind the safety and the convenience of the families. And most important, service operators who have found a balance in terms of psychology of service and altruism versus psychology of egoism. That is profit versus welfare delivery. Combine the two, and there is a proper screen test given to all the service operators before they're invited to run the services. Provide green spaces and use energy efficient technology. Harvard Medical School Occupational Health Institute has pointed out that the green environment does have impact on the well-being of people. Freshness of the air, fresh smells, ability to see themselves very close to the environment, that's very important. And fortunately, that area is very good because you are really close to the estuary in that area near Johar Bahru. Provide connectivity with neighboring localities. Don't just put a boundary wall around this kampung, community living concept. Provide bus service so that elderly people, if they want to go to theater or they want to go to some see some exhibition or they want to go to the sea, they should be able to do it. Make their life rich and full, as they call it. The role of the steering committee is very important through different stages, but once the development has happened, once the flats are occupied, the hawkers are there, the health center is located, the steering committee is replaced by a management committee. And the management committee is responsible for every aspect of it. Now, is it financially sustainable? It is financially viable. It is financially sustainable. We are still in the early days, about 6 years to be precise. We yet don't know the long-term implications of this experiment, but it's a great experiment which our institute in Hong Kong is trying to promote in many parts of the world. You might ask me a question, Lalit, where is the issue of financial viability? Fortunately, the mindset of the people who were involved in the discussion was that silver citizens are not a liability, they are an asset. Silver citizens are not a challenge, they are an opportunity. Silver citizens may not be digitally savvy, but they are wise, and it is their wisdom which drives the AI and the machine learning. If you do not feed wisdom of the people into the AI, then obviously it will not work. So the important thing is, and also as our own super silver citizen pointed out, that silver citizens are not just the followers. Don't treat them as if they are dependent on you. They can be wisdom leaders. They can be the path finders when everybody else has given up in despair. So that's, I thought I'll start with that solution. Now let me address what we do on a daily basis in terms of research and training. How can governments, businesses, and communities effectively collaborate to innovate solutions for aging population? This is a great question. I really enjoyed developing it further. So, first of all, you have to create a well-oiled machine. It's a metaphor. The system is not going to work like a mechanical machine. It's an organic machine. It's an organic system where the government provides the policy, sometimes infrastructure, but important thing, enabling role. That's important. The business acts like an innovator of products and services, provider of capital, provider of services, for example. And of course, people of the community, they provide the voice, they provide you the important information which helps you in designing these system solutions. Feedback, how their life is, how they feel living in this community. And then, of course, micro entrepreneurs who are running, who are these hawkers and often running important um, businesses or shops where they can not only give a good experience to the silver people, but also take care of their, if suppose a silver couple wants to buy fresh fruits and vegetables, they can go to this kiosk and buy it, right? Instead of waiting for the nurse to come and serve the apple on the plate, they would rather walk and go to the. So life arrangements, lifestyle choices, all those principles are working here. Now, what is the role of the government in this case? Uh, Government, if they can afford, provide subsidies to these silver citizens, provide tax breaks, which is very common in most of the European countries, for example. Invest in age-friendly infrastructure, pathways for the wheelchairs and all that stuff, buses and trains and stuff. Regulations so that you protect the senior citizens' rights. This is the time when the governments need to add a new chapter in the constitution, which protects not only the life but the assets and their voting rights of the people, which is very important because that gives a person space in the society. Promote public-private partnerships. Again, experience shows that just having government and private sector and people and communities put them around the table, it doesn't work like that. These are all organic systems. You need to create a culture for collaboration. That's important. Support health tech startups because a lot of health tech today startups are being designed at Harvard Medical Center in Oxford University. A lot of our startups are in the field of healthcare, uh, particularly for the aging society, because UK is not very far from Japan in terms of percentage of senior citizens using their own language. And then, if necessary, make provision of capital. So, multiple roles to be performed by the government. The business has a very important role. Many of you come from business, so you will know this is quite obvious. Develop age-inclusive products and services which are good for all ages. Uh, Create employment models for different age groups. Universities are very successful in creating employment models for very young people, graduates, as well as very senior silver citizens. Some of the service organizations are able to do it. Invest in silver economy, tourism, for example, specialized hotels, healthcare institutions, important. Manage housing clusters for all ages. Kampun in Singapore is a great example of that. Education and training of programs for all ages, very important. In Denmark, if you go to a business school, don't be surprised if uh, about 35% of your class are silver citizens. And for silver citizens, attending a class along with young people is a way of life. They're not learning in order to get a job, but they are doing it just to keep themselves engaged and up to date in knowledge. That's important. So the universities should start thinking in terms of how to attract silver citizens to their program, not as a exclusive class, but as a mainstream class so that they can bond and discuss issues with them. Political courses, courses on political science are important in this regard. Philosophy courses are important. Courses in economics are very important in this regard. Most important thing for business, continuous improvement. Whatever technology you have put in today in your kampung will not be very efficient after 5 years. So to sustain your financial return, you got to update your system, your services, your portfolio of products, as well as the environment. So that's the role business can play. What role can the communities play? Very, very important. First of all, they can help in customizing the facilities, amenities, and services. It's their feedback, it's their wisdom which says that, look, if everything is at the same level, then movement of the wheelchair will be easy. You don't have to grab for it. Encourage intergovernmental services. Very, very important. Sorry, intergenerational services. So that a 35-year-old banker, a 25-year-old digital engineer, and a 75-year-old senior citizen teacher, they're all sitting together in the club and having their evening drink and discussing problems of the society. That intergenerational conversation and bonding is very, very important for the well-being of the people. Provide feedback for continuous improvement. So businesses always depend on the feedback from the customers to devise new products and services or improvements. Engage in community activities and education, talked earlier. Take up voluntary roles. If you think that on a Sunday you want to volunteer to do up the garden, do it by all means, because there is somebody who has created a very safe instrument for you to do the gardening. There is somebody who has created a special hat so that you can work in open outdoor environment, not affected by the sun. Singapore sun can be extremely harsh on you. So all those solutions are being implemented. Provide uh, daily services to residents. So this is the daily life services that I'm talking about. And once we've looked at the role, next question is that what are some of the collaboration mechanisms? So government ministries come together to form a steering committee. That's the central pivot. Uh, Once the development has taken place, commercialization has started, hand over the role of the steering committee to a management committee. That's very important for collaboration, discipline, hygiene, cleanliness, looking after all the system, independent assessment. You must have conflict resolution mechanisms. Human beings, if they do not have conflicts, then there is something wrong about it. Conflict doesn't mean fights, it means differences in the opinions. So, how do you converge? How do you come to consensus? That's important. Trust building through data sharing, very important. Here, I completely echo Dr. Kringsak's observation that we need to move away from a information hiding bureaucracy to information disclosing wise society. That's important. That builds up the trust. Then multi-party dialogues are very, very important. I think many of us have talked about it earlier. Uh, Another very important aspect of any collaborative arrangement is innovation hub. All the feedback is coming. And today what we find is that innovations are also becoming systemic, integrated innovations. Like your mobile phone is an integration of so many gadgets. This is the new notion of innovation. Not specific to a little microphone here. That also happens, but more and more innovations are becoming systemic. So for that, feedback is important. And of course, you can form alliances and JVs as long as you have a very transparent and stable regulatory environment. JVs are very sensitive, alliances are very sensitive to any mid-course changes in regulatory environments because it disturbs their profit planning. So that's important. Finally, often in our institute in Hong Kong, when we help organizations develop these system solutions, they ask us that please tell us what are the conditions for success so that we can focus on those. So the first thing we say is that let there be a clear and transparent policy framework. This is the contribution of the ministries who come together, and then multi-party collaboration from early stages. This is conceptualizing the solution. Concrete, inclusive, real-life solutions architecture. You are not creating a system solution and preparing the silver citizens for living on Moon or Mars. This is the real world for them. So you need to give them real world solutions. Scale operations to create lively living habitat, right? And earlier we said that this has a synergy with the private investments because they get the scale advantage. Measurable performance indicators and impact in terms of health and well-being of the habitants in the community. Finally, environmental sustainability is very important. Uh, Community concept or community systemic solution should not become a threat to the environment. Whatever it takes, the community arrangements should be highly environmental friendly, no matter how much money it takes, because once created, redoing it is more expensive. There are two layers in it, in this model. First of all, ensure that you provide maximum lifestyle services. I've seen one, the senior silver citizens require legal services. I have even seen lawyers being provided in Denmark to the senior citizens. So that I include in the lifestyle services because somebody's pension has stopped, somebody's provident fund has gone into trouble or things like that. Community services like a shopping mart. I'm so happy to see that in many government hospitals here in Bangkok, there are these small little hawkers where people can buy things quickly. Health services, very important, and entertainment services. So this is where I would say I would conclude my lesson. The important thing is stand-alone, single building with beds and few nurses is not the answer. That's 100 years. If you want to do it, it's better to appoint nurses for the senior citizens and take care of them in the home. There is a need for big thinking. Does it require a lot of capital? No, it does not require a lot of capital. Because when you measure up the capital, it should be measured up in terms of whether it's available or not. Capital is available. Is the return available? Yes, it is available because that is how the systemic community solution has been designed. Is it sustainable? It is sustainable because we have taken care of the environment. We have taken care of the innovation aspect. These are all the requirements of any sustainable solutions. So respect silver citizens. That's the motto. Make them feel important and valuable for the future of your society. That's another principle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chowri. I don't think we have problem with that in Thailand. We respect the elderly, for sure. Now is 1:20. Given the time, is it my regret to say that I have to skip the Q&A session? But before I bring it to a close, let me highlight some of the points that has been discussed. I think in terms of challenges, I can sum them up in probably one sentence. Is that the major challenge is to how can we have healthy aging alongside with a sustainable economy, and with that the Roundtable has talked a lot about how to achieve those. One thing has been brought up is to leverage on AI and digital technologies. The setup of elderly nursing insurance system in Japan, I think that is something that Thailand and other countries should seriously think about. And last one is that we should have some contribution from the elderly. And how do we do that? We probably have no mandated retirement age, the creation of senior citizen network as a societal force will go along that line. And lastly, Dr. Joy has pointed out that these things is not just conceptual; it has to be put in present practice. And he cited an example of the Kampong Admiralty community in Singapore, and which show the culture for collaboration for public, private, and people partnership. And with that, I like to thank you all the esteemed panelists. I return the baton to the MC.